Are you feeling unfulfilled or looking for your purpose in life? Welcome to the Let's Talk About It podcast, a platform to discuss mental health, finding purpose, and work-life balance. Join me during a weekly discussion where we are finding our purpose on purpose. My name is Raquel, and I'm your host. Now let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Let's Talk About It podcast. This is episode 12. I would like to say thank you to RMR Productions for continuously entertaining my BS and making sure all of the edits, everything is amazing for each and every Sunday. It's definitely not an easy job just dealing with me in general, and not to mention she's my wife, so we work together constantly. Yay! Today I don't have a topic, y'all. I don't have anything set in stone, so we're just gonna go through what I went through during this week and how it could possibly be relatable to the rest of you guys, and if you possibly felt this way. So let's just jump right into it. This week has been a roller coaster of emotions for me. I don't even know how to explain the emotions. I don't even know where the emotions are coming from. I'm assuming they're postpartum depression. I pray to God that they're not, but I've just been feeling like very overwhelmed and overstimulated and wanting to be the best mom, wanting to be the best wife, wanting to make sure that I don't drop my grades in school, and just wanting to be the best version of myself. Sometimes y'all can get really overwhelming, as I stated. In past episodes, I've said, don't let your own expectations keep you from being who you truly need to be and who you truly are, or reach your full potential. And this week, I allowed my expectations of myself, my expectations that I put on my life or what I want for my life, and I carried that as a weight. It was a very heavy weight, and to a point to where I wanted to cry, but I couldn't cry because I didn't want to feel weakness. And when I did cry, it hurt so bad that I couldn't stop crying. I did cry. I did it in secrecy. I didn't want to talk to my wife about it. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it because sometimes we go through things, and I've said this before, we want to deal with it on our own, and we want to see if we can figure it out. And then we don't want people to know, like, we're going through something. We don't want people to know that we're struggling. But yesterday was I'm not going to say breaking point, but yesterday was a day that I realized, Raquel, it's time to really get back into therapy. It's time to be proactive with finding a therapist. It's time to be proactive with talking about your feelings more and communicating what you're feeling with your family, with your wife, and continuously praying to God, asking him to guide me to figuring out this whole new life that I have. And a lot of it is just having a lot on my plate, and me in particular putting all of those things on my plate. But for me, I just feel like I can do it. Like, I have the ability to get through it. I have the ability to overcome and accomplish everything that stands in my way. I actually have a scripture from Philippians 4:6-7. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your minds in Jesus Christ." And I read that scripture today. Right now, it means the world to me. It means that my anxious feeling, yes, may be valid, but God got me. And no matter what I go through, he has me. Yesterday, I didn't feel that way. Not saying that, my faith lacked. It was just like I had no room mentally to pray. And have you ever just gotten to that point to where You're like, how can I pray about something that I don't even understand what I'm feeling? How can I ask God to heal me or protect me from something when it may be healing and protecting me from myself? I don't know. Like I had so many different emotions, so many different moments where I was just like, I need to get out the house. I need to talk to somebody. I don't want to talk to somebody. Um, and that's when I realized it's time to go back to therapy. So anybody out there that needs therapy, talk therapy, that needs a safe place to to express yourself and feel as if you're not judged. If you have insurance, if you have any type of insurance, or if you can pay out of pocket, go get the therapy. God has created his children to have this type of job and this type of spirit to want to help other people. So use those resources. Like a lot of people that believe in God and walk with him, they think in their mind that, you know, getting a therapist is almost like betraying him. But no, he ordained these people and guided these people to their career to help other people. And it may not be helping you with your walk with God, but it's helping you mentally so you can continue your walk with God. And there are some religious therapists that will have touch points on that if that's what you look for. But know that having a therapist, there's nothing wrong with it. Know that it's not a weakness. It actually takes courage to acknowledge where you are falling short, to acknowledge that mentally you're not okay, to acknowledge that you're overwhelmed. And I have been overwhelmed and overstimulated with being a new mom, with being in school, with working multiple jobs, and just trying to stay afloat and trying to figure out when is it that I will reach the point to where I'm at ease, because I just feel overworked in general. But I don't complain, and that's another reason why I don't want to talk about it or, you know, express myself to my family members or, you know, my wife, because I don't want to seem like I'm complaining. And if you let my wife tell it, she probably won't say that I complain, but it seems like every other week or every month, I'm saying the exact same thing. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. I need to figure this out. I need to figure out what to do. And I may be at fault for not listening to God and hearing him when he's telling me to go in a certain direction. And just because I come on this platform and I say to you guys, this is what you should do to help your process, doesn't mean that I've perfected that process. I'm going through this process with you guys just as well as I say to you, go to God. Sometimes going to God is hard, especially when you don't know what to say, especially when you feel like a prayer should be broken down into, you got to say thank you first, and then you got to say certain things in your prayer. Like sometimes prayer can just be a conversation. And I've had to learn that over time. I've had to learn that, you know, when I'm angry, when I'm sad, when I just don't know what to do, I have to go to him and have a conversation with him. It may not be the most righteous and uplifting prayer. It may just be like, I'm about to give up. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know why you want me to do this. I don't want to do it. And, you know, if he doesn't speak to me directly, he pushes me to continue to do the things that I'm doing. If I don't ever have the spirit in my mind or in my heart to give up, to stop, then I know that's God pushing me and telling me to keep going. I got you. And what did the scripture say? Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Jesus Christ. I have to rest on that. I have to study that. Like, even though I say it and I know the words and I know the definition of the words and I know the meaning, in order for you to apply that to your day-to-day life, in order for you to actually believe it and feel it, I have to study that. I have to continuously wake up and read that scripture. When I'm going through something, read that scripture. Just like Psalms 91. I have to always go to that scripture when I feel like I'm being attacked. Just like Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's just like there are certain scriptures all scriptures in the Bible will apply to your life in some type of way if you understand it, if you dissect it, if you know how to apply it. But once you read a scripture that you can apply to your certain circumstance, don't think that reading it one time is going to help you understand how to maneuver through that issue. You got to keep studying that thing. You got to keep rehearsing it and understanding the words and understanding where he's coming from in his heart and praying to God to continue to give you that understanding. And like my mom told me last night when, we were talking and I was bawling, she got it out of me. She was just like, "You look stressed." And I was like, "Really?" And from there, just tears coming down my eyes like waterfalls. And she told me, like, you need to ask God, what is it that you need to do to get out of this space that you're in? What is it that you need to do to help you get through it? And I'm in the process of doing that. I'm in the process of trying to understand mentally where I am and trying to understand what's God's next move, which I don't think we ever will know. Like, living this life is it's so fruitful, but it's so annoying because it's just like you never know what is going to happen. You never know why you're going through something. You just always have to trust God to know that he got you. And it's okay to fall short and think twice. Just know that you can't stay in that mind state. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I believe all the disciples, even with all the miracles that Jesus performed, they still were like, "Jesus, are you sure? Like, you sure you want us to do that?" But he chose them. He chose them to be his disciples. And even when he had to remind them, like, "I am that I am," why would you question me? Have I not shown you? Have you not seen? And I think we all go through that. Like, we see the blessings that God has bestowed upon us. We see where our life is. And if you don't know that the life that you have is a blessing from God, regardless of if it's super fruitful, where you're super financial, like, the superficial is of the world, the earthly world. Let's talk about the blessings of waking up every morning, having your limbs, being able to speak, being able to love on people, being able to feed your children, being able to go to work, being in a position where you know good and well you aren't qualified. That ain't you. That's God. That's God opening the doors for you. That's God putting something in you that you didn't even know you had. And I know that he does that for me constantly. I know that he does that for me daily. And I just can't wait till I'm to a point to where I don't feel this uneasy. And when I do feel this uneasy, I know how to get out of it with no questions asked. And when I say I know how to get out of it, I don't mean on my own. Oh, got makeup on. I don't mean on my own. I mean by constantly going to him, starting his word, reading his word, studying his word. And you know what I'm about to start doing? I told you guys in the last episode that I created a prayer journal. I fell back on my prayer journal. I've been, vocally praying to God. And I think now I'm about to start back doing that. So I challenge everybody to get a prayer journal, a war room. If you have not seen War Room, I would suggest that you go see it because it is, or find it on some type of streaming platform so you can see it, because it's such a great movie about connecting with God and, you know, putting your prayers out there and just explaining to God how you feel, why you feel this way, and what you want. And he will show you where to go. He will show you who's for you. He will show you what you're fighting for is worth fighting for. So for me, right now, what I'm fighting for is to be a great wife, be a great mom, get through school. I graduate next October 24. And if God says the same, welcome another baby in this world. But I want to make sure before I do that, that I'm mentally prepared to add on to everything else that I already have, that we already have. And it would be ideal if we welcome a second baby into the world when we got our 5 acres and we built our new house. It would be very ideal. But I'm going to leave that up to God to direct us in the way that we're supposed to go. I believe that we need to acknowledge when we're mentally not okay. We need to acknowledge when we need to take a break, take a step back. And I'm saying that, but my mom told me, she's like, maybe you need to take a step back from school. I refuse. I refuse to take a step back from school. I got my GED in 2020, 21. I forget when I got it. Started school literally right after I got the GED. And I've been pushing through. And I'm not trying to prove nothing to anybody else but myself. And I will say this, if you doing anything in this world to prove to somebody that you are this person, that you at that level, you got this in your bank, and whatever the case may be, don't do that. You ain't got to prove nothing to nobody but yourself, and prove to God that you are willing to open your heart to him to help him guide you to where you need to be. That's what I really want people to know. And even myself, like I think I've gotten to a place to where I'm not really trying to prove nothing to nobody, but at the same time, a lot of the times I think about what other people will think. And I'm practicing daily on saying F that. I'm really trying not to curse that much too. I curse, but I'm trying not to. And just like, don't worry about what other people think of you. Don't worry about what society has to say about you. They ain't walking with you. They don't pay your bills. They don't know what you're going through mentally and emotionally. And that's what gets me, is that people will downplay, talk about people on the internet and say they 2 senses, 4 senses, and ain't got $1 in their account. Like, oh my goodness. It's just really sad that we're just in a world where people are so comfortable to talk about or comment on other people's life when your life ain't no better. And it may be even worse. So for me, I try not to dabble into that. I try not to comment on social media posts, or if somebody come to me and be like, oh girl, you know such and such. I don't, and I don't care. Like I've had to cut friends off because they bring in gossip about somebody that I don't care to talk about. I don't have no ill will, no ill feelings, no malice, but I don't care to talk about. And I digress. The point of it all is don't mentally put yourself in a cage to where you're overwhelmed, you're overstimulated, and you can't express yourself in the way that you want to. And it could be for many reasons. And I think I was touching on, trying to prove something to the world, trying to prove something to people that don't have no weight in your life. Take all of that to God, pray to him, Ask him for direction and guidance. And I will no matter how many times I repeat that on an episode, I'm going to always say it. Take what you're feeling to God. Talk to him. Ask him for guidance. Ask him for direction. Ask him for healing in that moment. Because sometimes we be going through stuff, and without that piece of healing, without that feeling of relief, we on the edge. On the freaking edge. And just having that conversation with him makes a lot of a difference. Or if he puts somebody in your life to have a conversation with, to where they can help you. Prayer groups, your mom, your father, your cousin, your wife, your husband, your sister, your brother, anybody. As long as that's a safe space, as long as you know that they have good intentions for your life, and as long as you know that God appointed you that way to talk about what you're going through. And if it's a therapist, that would be my number one go-to, because it's confidential. If you want to cry and scream, that's a place where the person that you're talking to not going to use their life experiences to be like, oh yeah, I went through that too and I got out of it. Sometimes we don't care. Let the world know today. Sometimes we don't care that you got out of it. Sometimes we just want you to listen. Give me your testimony after I've cried. Don't interrupt my tears. I just feel like we all are going through it. And I don't know, if you watch the episodes on the Let's Talk About It podcast, then you'll realize that, yes, I suffer from mental health issues. I suffer from anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, ADHD, and panic disorders. So when I say find you a therapist, when I say find you a safe place to talk, I mean that. It took me a very long time. It took me a lot of self-destruction. It took me a lot of drinking. It took me a lot of drugs to realize that that's what I needed. That's what's going to make me better. Self-reflection. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you see what you're putting yourself through, and you know mentally you're not okay, and everything you're doing on the back end is causing that mental breakdown to continuously break down, then you know you need to fix something. And I just pray that everybody that watches this podcast, that watches the short clips, that streams it on all of the streaming platforms, I pray that you know that you are not alone. There are so many different resources. There are so many free resources too. You can look up free resources in your area for, mental health, or if you have issues with substance abuse, or whatever the case may be. Take the first couple of steps to take care of yourself, because without the best versions of you, you can't do what God has called you to do. And a lot of people say, like, God calls many, but only few are chosen. I feel like, yes, in a sense that's true, but we all can be chosen if we choose to walk the path of righteousness, if we choose to walk the path that God has for us. And I guess that's why they say that, I forgot what I just said. That's the ADHD. But the statement that I said, that many are, what did I say, baby? Many are chosen. Many are, what? Anyway, it's a saying. And I forgot. That's the ADHD, y'all. But I forgot what I said. Now I gotta Google it, y'all. And I said that off the top of the head, but that just lets you know. Check on your mental health. There you go. And this is from the Bible, okay? It says Matthew 22:14. For many are called, but few are chosen. My bad, y'all. Like, when I say the ADHD is real, it's real. So yeah, for many are called, but few are chosen. I feel like that is definitely true. But I think that scripture can be altered. I think we all can choose to walk the path that he wants us to go. And for me, I think the chosen is to choose to put you in a position to help people, to choose to put you in a position to use your testimony to help people. And I could be wrong. I have to study that because I want to dissect that a little bit more on another episode. So just remember, Matthew 22:14, for many are called, but few are chosen. Decide to be the chosen one. When you're ready, when you're healed, when you're mentally prepared, emotionally prepared, we're never going to always be all of those things perfectly or at all times. But when you're on the path to where you can notice your triggers, where you're able to understand when it's time to get a tune-up at the doctor's office, whatever the case may be, decide to be the chosen one. Because in reality, God calls us all to do a lot of things, but it's only a few of us that decides to walk with him so he can put us where he wants us to be. So I send so much love to everyone. I send prayers. I pray that no matter where your mental state is, no matter where you are emotionally, that you find healing. I send my hugs and my kisses to you guys, and just know that mental health is real. Please do not disregard it. Get the help that you need. Take your meds if you got to. And don't think it's a weakness. It's just what we have to do to make sure that we're okay. And I'm not taking away from anybody who does holistic healing and all that other stuff. If it works for you, it works for you. But make sure whatever it is that you try to do, it works for you and it's working for you and it's going to make you a better version of yourself. That's all I care about. And I'm going to try to take today to enjoy myself. My sister is watching our son. Me and my wife are going to go on a date. And I'm just going to try to realign a little bit and just kind of not think about all of the things that I have to do come Monday, which it comes fast. So any key points you take away from this episode: take care of your mental health, take care of your emotional health, and take care of your physical health. Find a safe place to talk about how you feel. If you don't find a safe place to talk about how you feel and you're comfortable with leaving a comment on the YouTube platform or any other platform where you can stream this podcast, leave a comment. Let's talk about it. Let's see if we can get you on the right direction to figuring you out. And I'm not a licensed professional, anything. I am just a woman who understands that there are many people who are going through what I'm going through. And as I previously said before, we go through this shit in silence. And it's not fair. It's not fair to us, and it's not fair to the people who depend on us. And we deserve so much better. So I send my prayers to you. I send my love to you. And just know, each and every episode, each and every Sunday, we're going to talk about it. I'll see you next episode. Cut.